So Wall Street is dumping Elon Musk as he desperately tries to save himself and his companies. That's the subject of today's video, and check out this headline. Wall Street banks sell final slug of Elon Musk's X debt. So basically, Elon Musk bought Twitter. He paid way too much. The company is a loser, and the question is then, how is he able to keep this thing afloat? He borrowed a whole bunch of money to buy Twitter, and then effectively Wall Street took a loss on these things. They finally finished dumping the rest of his debt. I actually don't know who they're selling it to. We'll read a little bit of this, and you guys will see what I'm saying here. It says, a group of Wall Street's biggest banks have finally dug themselves out of a $13 billion quagmire that Elon Musk created. And I remember when we first started talking about this, it was like the worst, one of the worst deals since the great financial crisis. But I guess they sold the rest of the debt. On Monday, banks sold the final slug of the debt they lent for Musk's takeover of Twitter in 2022. According to people familiar with the matter, the $1.2 billion of loans sold at 98 cents on the dollar. So it looks like they took a small loss there. Well, I mean, let's just say they got out of it and they're not concerned about profits at this point. They're just like, let me just get out. I'll say this. I'm not sure who they're selling it to because it didn't say. And if you guys have any insight information on that, please let me know. It just says here, the sale was a long time coming. In April 2022, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, and 5 other banks agreed to lend the money to help Elon Musk buy Twitter. The plan was to divvy up some $13 billion in debt, sell it to investors, and earn millions in fees. It didn't quite work out exactly as planned, but they did sell off their debt, and I don't know, again, who's buying. This is always an interesting story to cover regarding Elon Musk, Twitter, Tesla, etc., because you have a couple things. You have the machine over at Wall Street looking to promote and pump up Elon Musk, because yes, you can make money off of hoping dreams. You can make money off of smoke and mirrors. And then you have this army of delusional Neanderthals that worship Musk. They think he's absolute genius. So when you see these kind of headlines, this is today. Cyberstuck, Tesla Cybertruck rescued after Elon Musk says it works as a boat. The people who buy Cybertrucks, they're always getting in like crazy problems like this. And you can see the thing is completely stuck. And these things are heavy too, so they're hard to get out of there. But, not only does these things like glued together with bad glue and they're falling apart, you have people who buy these things get stuck in said ways. Tesla has been struggling in terms of the financials. Their profit was down 71% in the last earnings call. But yes, I saw, guys, the stock went up. Someone's buying Twitter debt. Who are these people? I actually don't know. I think there could be foreign money involved with this stuff. I don't know. And that's one thing I'm actually really curious. That's why I keep track of this and let you guys know as well. He's also raising money for his XAI AI thing. And oftentimes when people who, really, really worship Musk, they just think he's the smartest guy in history, the richest guy in history, all these kind of things. And I always just put this back at you. If that is indeed the case, why he's always asking people for money? Why are we trying to raise $20 billion from investors, right? If he's supposedly the richest, why don't he just do it all himself? I think he's in a world of hurt. But this is what's always fascinating about it, because how long can you keep this house of cards going? It feels very much to me like an Enron, Theranos kind of situation. We know that his polling data is absolutely abysmal. We've been looking at this. There was a recent poll that came out on Trump and about, Musk's endeavors in firing federal employees, et cetera. Musk was the spearhead of that thing, and that was unpopular. 2/3 of Americans don't like it, basically, is what it ended up being. And now we have this new report, which is really well done, to be perfectly frank. This is from the Senate. And effectively, I think Musk could face some actual liability from all the things that him and his companies are up to. But to be fair to Musk, he is trying to play the political game and try to get basically the heat off his back by, getting involved with the government and firing anyone who's after him or investigating him. So this was from the Senate. It says 2 interested parties. So that would be us. I'm interested, and I hope you're interested also. From the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, the minority staff. This is April 27th, 2025. And the subject line is calculating risk, estimating the legal liability Elon Musk may avoid through his government takeover, right? So essentially, right? Elon Musk is trying to get out all of this. The grand total ended up being like, if Musk is successful in his endeavor to fire anyone who's, regulating him or his companies, maybe 2.3 billion is what we're talking about. But I have this chart up here, and I want you guys to see this, because for those of you who haven't followed the Musk situation, you can find my old videos on this topic. But I want you to see how extensive his oligarch network slash oligarch tentacles go. It's actually, he brushes up with the law and our system quite a bit. So, for example, I'm just looking at some of these. You're looking at hiring practices. You're looking at the Federal Aviation Administration. You're looking at, what is SpaceX doing? Are you, hurting people's health? These kind of things. The Boring Company, Tesla. Are you getting involved with the Department of Justice, right? Discriminatory hiring practices. What about the SEC, insider trading, these kind of things? Like, there's a whole bunch. USDA, you putting the stuff in people's bodies that's not healthy, these kind of stuff. What about dirtying the water? And when you add it all up, I mean, it ends up being 2.3 billion in possible liabilities that you're trying to get out of. That's why you'd be bribing Trump officials and those kind of things. But the big one that we talk about often on the channel is the misleading of false advertising over at Tesla, basically claiming that your robot drivers don't, that they work when they don't. And they even name the thing full self-driving, which is misleading in itself. It's kind of like naming, your car warp speed car, but it doesn't actually go warp speed. It's kind of something like that. And then you got discriminating hiring practices. So that would be the DOJ, the EPA, equal opportunity? Is it EEOC? I think that's at the occupation, if I remember correctly. FAA, the FEC. So there'd be elections he's involved with. Yeah, right. It says illegal cooperation, corporate contributions for virtual campaign rally on X Spaces. Oh, okay. And that would be, when you're showing stuff on his platform. I've lived through a lot, and I haven't seen anything like this. So I would agree. Elon Musk is a unique person in history for sure. I mean, how many people would have this many, conflicts of interest and violations? So is it SpaceX serious health referrals at the Washington facility? You're right. Contested violation at the Las Vegas site. That's at the Boring Company. 26 contested OSHA violations at multiple facilities. So that's what the occupation safety and health. So basically, how you treat your workers. They've often been known to be skirting the law in multiple ways, be it worker health and safety. What else do we have here? Allegations of failure to timely disclose the beneficial ownership report. So that was when Musk was buying up Twitter secretly. When you reach a certain percentage, I believe it's 5%, you need to disclose that publicly, right? But he waited like 10 days, and they pretend like, oh, we just forgot, or the email was sitting in our mailbox, we forgot to hit send, or like that was come up with like some stupid reason of why they didn't do things properly and above board. And so from Musk's point of view, it is like, well, I'll just do what I want and then just pay whatever fine. Or when the court calls me in, I'll just not show up and then pay whatever fine or whatever. So like how long can you skirt the law like this? That's what I'm always curious on. But Wall Street is dumping the Twitter debt. We also have this talking about Neuralink. This is what the SEC alleged false or misleading statement about product risk. Tesla alleged failure to disclose solar panel risk to shareholders. USDA is involved here. I just want you guys to see all this stuff. You got the labor board, right? Consolidated complaints allege illegal firings over an open letter. That's over at SpaceX. Tesla consolidated complaints alleging interference with union organization campaign at Fremont, right? Union busting, this kind of stuff. Because sometimes when people ask like, what's going on with Musk and Tesla and his companies, it's not just one thing. It's like multiple things, right? Look at all this stuff. This is the highway transportation and safety. You have crash problems with the Teslas, FSD collisions. You got all these recalls, loss of steering control. What is it? Steering wheel detachment, unexpected brake activation, sudden unintended acceleration. And then you have the audit of employment practices over at the Fremont. And again, at least according to the Senate report, if Elon Musk is able to wrangle his way out of all of these regulations and essentially crackdowns on him and his practices, it's worth 2.3 billion. And I think that's why he's getting involved in politics. He's got failing companies, revenues are are a real problem for Tesla and Twitter, and he's constantly asking for more and more money, and Wall Street's dumping his debt. So I know it's a lot to go over, but I want to give you, an overview of what's happening because I think it's interesting to talk about. I do appreciate your time, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next video.